Chau, accompanied by my co-host John Harris. As always, back we are to make our picks for the divisional round of the NFL playoffs against the spread. Picks and bets. Once again, bets not with our real money. Had someone comment last week that we lost a lot of money on that Cleveland game, John. Well, good thing we didn't put actual money because I would not put money on any of those games last week. But anyway, if we did.
Yeah, at least if I was putting real money, then I'd probably be making a lot more time in my decision making.
Yeah, or not putting nearly as much on these anyway. But in regards to the money last week, you're even. You went actually 800. You split, so no profit, no loss for you. So hey, if you bet, once again, if you actually did, you would have been fine. But it's rare it is that you go even. Even then, that's not really a win because you wasted your time. I went plus 600. So I had Green Bay cashed obviously, and really like I mentioned, a very heavy underdog type weekend last weekend. So we'll see if that carries over to divisional round. Big question will be for some of these one seeds that we'll talk about, rest versus rust, especially for the Ravens, and that's where we'll start because first game on Saturday is at Baltimore. Like I mentioned, Ravens had the week off. Don't forget, too, they had already locked up the 1 seed going into Week 18. They played like a handful of starters Week 18, but really mostly everyone was resting. So we'll see if that, maybe they got up to a slow start. If they do, that could be a factor. Nonetheless, Ravens are favored by 9.5. They are hosting the Houston Texans, obviously led by CJ Stroud, and them. These two teams did play Week 1, but that was Week 1. And feels like both. I'm not even going to try to I'm not even factor that in mainly into my main breakdown or my prediction here. I don't know about you because it was so far long ago. Especially Houston, they've come a long way. So has really Baltimore too. So anyway, all that aside, who do you have here, John, and for how much?
I'm going to be going with the Texans. 9.5 feels really big for a playoff game, especially with how good Houston looked last week. I do think that Baltimore wins, but Baltimore also, outside of that Niners game, doesn't feel like a team that just absolutely blows the brakes off of everybody they play. They did with that Dolphins game too, but I even think back to like the Rams game. That one went into overtime. Some of their games against like the Browns, like when the Browns beat them, I think that was a close game. So I don't know. It just feels like some of their games have been relatively close against solid teams. Like I said, they do have some of those marquee, like big block games like the Lions or the Dolphins or some of those kind of games. But I just don't expect that to happen to Houston, considering the way that CJ Stroud has been playing and just the way that their defense, the momentum they have after last week. Like I said, I do think Baltimore wins, but I am going Houston against the spread for 400.
Yeah, I'm in agreement. I'm going with Houston also for 400, just to keep it really within the spread. I think Baltimore still prevails, just because of how dynamic their offense is. And like we mentioned before, I know they got a little taste for Week 1, but it's still a long time. Houston was still figuring themselves out. So once again, I'm not counting that game. Just a whole nother animal playing Lamar and this offense, and also this Baltimore offense we saw as the season went on. They had to kind of find their way because it was a new system under Todd Monken, so they started off slow. So like I said, that's why I don't factor Week 1. And Baltimore obviously more balanced now, especially more polished in the pass game that we've seen in years past for Lamar Jackson, both schematically and talent-wise. So that will help. I wouldn't be shocked though, because like I said, both picking Houston. CJ Stroud been awesome, making a lot of plays. Still has. I want to say Chris Conley. It's not Chris Conley. Why am I blanking on Nico Collins? Excuse me. And he's still an electric playmaker, but outside of him, I fear that Baltimore's going to try to take away Nico Collins. All right, who else can beat us consistently? Don't think Brevin Jordan's going to pop off another 76-yard run like he did or catch and run like he did last week, but we'll see. But I think just like I mentioned last week, Houston, while I'm picking them to cover, and I'm sure and you did too, I just think still a young team. This could be just the not your time yet, young one moment where Baltimore's the more experienced team, especially with their leaders, and they're on a mission for the whole thing as they've been here before. while Houston, still enjoying the ride. So we're both going for the Texans, or both picking the Texans, to cover that 9.5 points or outright win. Both putting what would be the standard for this week, because it's only 4 games, 400 on the Houston Texans. And once again, not our real money, because I would not put 400 on this one. But anyway,